someone in my house. He has a knife and really manly boots. And, yeah, just get here. Okay, I'm gonna make a run for it. Oh, it's just Ghostface. It's just Ghostface. I'm actually a huge fan, so I'm gonna call you back. Or no, I'm not gonna call you back. That's weird. Bye. So, what made you choose me? Oh! All right. That's fiction. Hello YouTube, my name is Courtney and this is Courtney in Books. So once I got out of my reading slump, which was literally the beginning of September, I did an entire 3-month like recap of all the books that I've been reading and then immediately got out of my reading slump. I'm pretty sure that Alice took over at that time and she has just been reading non-stop, unhinged romance novels. Some of them not even romance, some of them horror erotica. And so I'm going to turn this video over to her. It is approaching Halloween season. It is technically spooky season. If you're somebody like me, spooky season never ends, but for the normal people, spooky season is right about now until Halloween. So I'm going to be doing a lot of spooky romance novel or spooky romance recaps here, but today, because it is Friday the 13th, we are focusing on slasher romance. So without further ado, I'm turning this over to my alter ego, Alice. Hello YouTube, my name is Alice, and I work for the Umbrella Corporation. No, I don't. No, I really don't. So I am here to give you guys 4, was gonna be 5, but 4 slasher romance books to read for Friday the 13th, or just to read before Halloween, or to read anytime you want if you're somebody that is into darker romance or kind of more taboo things, and these are for you. I'm gonna get straight into it. I'm going to start with sort of the tamest book first. If you want to dip your toes into the genre, this one might be something to start with. It is a shorter novel, and that is Slash by Thalia Sanchez. It's about this group of friends that goes to, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, it's called Haunt. It's called Haunt. It's a movie where this group of friends goes to a haunted house, one of those kind of haunted houses where you have to sign a contract because the haunters are allowed to touch you, so it's supposed to be like a really immersive experience. So basically this book is about that. This group of friends goes to this haunted attraction where the actors are allowed to touch you. Crazy thing is that, like in the movie Haunt, these actors are actually killing people off, and because you're allowed to be touched, people aren't really catching on to the fact that people are actually dying because they think it is an act. Turns out it is not, and turns out one of the haunters, the one that is killing people off, decides he has eyes for one of the girls that is in this haunted house, and he corners her, and she just thinks it's the hottest thing ever, and she starts to kind of realize that it's a little bit outside of her comfort zone, and in order to escape, she starts to seduce him, and in seducing him, they actually end up like having a great night in this haunted attraction, and then when she leaves, she finds out that all of her friends have been murdered. I'm not really giving anything away, it's kind of like all written in the blurb on the back of this book, but it's a very simple story. I just thought it was a little bit comedic, and I think it was supposed to be a little bit comedic because of their interaction after the fact. But if you want something short, something a little bit more tame, something that's not as dark and ridiculous and twisted and unhinged as the other books that I have on this list, I think that one's a good way to start. The next book that I have is Carnival Monster. This is a little bit more on the dark side. Again, if you know my channel, if you know me, you know that I did not know this was part of a series until I picked it up, because it doesn't indicate that it is at all. So I just picked it up because I wanted something to read for, you know, spooky season. But anyways, Carnival Monster, like I said, gets a little bit darker. So read your triggers and just be prepared. It is about this guy, Gage, and I didn't write down the girl's name in this book. Usually I do, and I completely forgot it. So you're just gonna have to read the book if you want to find out. Anyways, Gage and Mystery Girl meet up because Gage is part of this traveling carnival that kind of goes around the country and sets up in different areas, and he is one of the masked actors that kind of wanders the courtyards and scares people during like spooky season. And our unknown girl, our main character, she and her friends go to this haunted attraction, or this carnival, for Halloween. I'm pretty sure they go for like actual Halloween. They go for Halloween, and this masked man kind of picks her out of the crowd and thinks she's extremely adorable, starts getting really obsessed with her, and decides to start stalking her. So he ends up somehow even putting cameras in her apartment and watching her. And when she finds out that he is watching her, she discovers, or doesn't really discover, she is a very kinky person. She has a lot of emotional issues, and they kind of translate into what she enjoys in the bedroom. So this is a side of her that she hasn't really been able to show other people. She doesn't really talk about it, obviously, but clearly this man brings it out in her when she figures out that he's sort of like stalking her. At this point, she hasn't even seen his face yet. It's kind of like a, what is it called? A security blanket. Even in his off time, most of the time he wears a mask. It's just something that he does. He really doesn't show his face very often. But anyways, let's not get ahead of ourselves, because Gage is not a good guy. Gage is actually a serial killer. And so, in case you didn't know that this list was going to be full of morally black people, let me tell you right now that Gage is morally black. He doesn't really have any redeeming qualities, and so you have to just be prepared for that. His only redeeming quality, if you can even call it that, is the fact that he obsesses over this girl. Anyways, so there's a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of, what is it called, voyeurism. There is non-consensual fantasies that play out between these two, masked interactions, knife play. There's all kinds of things. Every single twisted little kink that you think you might find in this book is in this book. I actually enjoyed it. Other than the fact that Gage was a horrible serial killer, I actually thought it was very interesting. These two were battling a lot of very horrible traumatic experiences from their childhood, and they found each other and they fed on each other's darkness, and that's kind of what brought them together. So again, morally black. Don't read this book if you want superheroes or, you know, good people, because you'll not find it here. But I think it really fits the theme of Friday the 13th, so I put it on this list. Next on this list is Meet at Midnight. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Okay, so Meet at Midnight is about, you have this final girl actually, because the very beginning of the book just opens up with this group of friends in an abandoned theme park or an abandoned carnival, and they end up getting chased down by this serial killer in a mask. And he just kind of starts killing people off. He gets to the last girl, who is our main character. Her name is Zoe. And he decides he's kind of intrigued by her. He has every intention to kill her, but ends up being interrupted when the police arrive. And Zoe has a lot of darkness inside of her as well. In fact, I don't think this is a spoiler because it happens in like the first 5 pages of the book. She brought a gun to this little gathering with her friends for reasons. And the serial killer, whose name is Jack, you later find out, he interrupted this whole thing that she had planned for tonight and killed all of her friends, leaves her. She ends up being the final girl, but not without scars. He actually does stab her in the bootay, and she has a scar from that, and she ends up surviving. I can't remember how long after this incident the actual story takes place, but I'm pretty sure it's a couple years later, maybe more, where he decides he's going to go on another killing spree, and he ends up going to a Halloween party full of people. He sees this girl in a mask. She's super cute, and I mean, her body is, can't see her face, but he takes her to a room. They have some naughty times, and very kinky naughty times, and he figures out that it is his final girl, who he has been obsessing with ever since he couldn't kill her way back in the day. Or not way back in the day. Again, I don't know how long it is between, you know, this part of the story and the last part of the story. But anyways, so he finds out it's her, and he once again is just obsessed with killing her. but also super intrigued. So they bang, they have a great night together. He finds out it is his final girl, the girl that he couldn't kill way back in the day, the girl that he's been obsessed with ever since he could not kill her. And he's very confused why she would be at a party like this, because he thought, you know, I almost killed her, she probably has major PTSD, probably wasn't planning on going to other gatherings and letting me find her this easily. So he's very intrigued, he's very excited that he found his final girl, and he starts to obsess over finishing the job. It is a dual perspective book. I can't remember if it's a third person dual perspective or if it's first person, but it does go back and forth between the two characters. And you find out that she has kind of been obsessing with him over the years as well, because she has a fascination with murder herself, and the fact that he let her go, she is kind of trapped between having a ginormous crush on him and being terrified for her life. And I think being terrified for her life almost turns her on, and she doesn't want to admit that, so she's kind of battling these two personalities in her head. And when she finds out that he has found her again, obviously that adrenaline spikes, and these two start having some very, very, very twisted and dark chemistry. But there's another serial killer in town, and he does not like that, because he does not like his thunder being taken. You know, he doesn't want his wind to be stolen. How can he blow if she won't let him grow, is what I'm talking about. So he doesn't like this other serial killer. They call her I can't remember what she's called. They call her something like the lover's killer or something like that, because she finds people on like this dating app, and that is how she offs them. And I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but the way it came off is that the people she finds have a kink for being murdered by a sexy woman. These are two morally black characters. There is no redeeming qualities about them. The first half of the book is a little bit more serious, and then the second half kind of goes off in this comedic direction, and I just thought it was the most entertaining thing in the world. And it was really, really sexy. It had violence, it had twisted, you know, brain stuff. It really messed with your head. I think like off this list, this is the most slashery romance I read, and it was definitely something. It reminded me a lot of Butcher and Blackbird. If you've read that, then you kind of know what I mean about the like whole casual feel, like comedic feel of it. But in Butcher and Blackbird, the kind of vigilantes, they kind of pick on other serial killers. In this case, they do not. He just likes killing innocent people just because it's fun for him. And he legitimately gets off on the, you know, sticking his knife in people. So again, not for the faint of heart. The last book on this list is definitely not a romance. This is actually categorized as an erotic horror novel, and that is Come Out Wherever You Are by Harleigh Beck. This book was a psychological ride. I thought it was so interesting. I greatly enjoyed it. But basically you have Skylar, who in the very beginning of the book is driving drunk with her friend, and they're being stupid little high schoolers thinking that they are just invincible. She is driving under the influence, and they kind of get to talking about the fact that she has a huge crush on like the quarterback or like one of the football players at the school named Nate. And wouldn't you know it, the coincidence gods put Nate right in the middle of the road on a rural highway, and she hits him and runs over him, and she gets out of the car kind of puking her guts out like, holy shit, I'm super drunk and I also hit somebody. Crawls up to the road, finds out it's her biggest high school crush. Her friend starts panicking. I mean, they're both panicking. Her friend starts panicking and says, my dad can get rid of this. He can make this go away. All we have to do is get rid of the body, and my father will get rid of the car, and everything will be fine. So that's what they do. They hide the fact that they just murdered their classmate, and the story actually ends up taking place a year later when Nate shows back up, seemingly having gone to a hospital overseas for the last year to heal and get physical therapy and get massive amounts of surgery, and now he is back, and guess what? He knows that our little Skylar is the one that hit him and tried to bury the whole thing, and he is out for revenge. His revenge is psychological, it is also physical, but it's mostly psychological. And this book, again, there's not a whole lot I can say about it, like without giving things away, but it was a roller coaster. Again, if you have any trigger warnings whatsoever there, or any triggers whatsoever, they are in this book, so Like, I can't even give you a list. Like, if there's anything that might possibly trigger you, it's in this book. So this is definitely, again, not for the faint of heart. This is very, very, very dark, not romance, because romance is categorized as something with a happy ending, and this cannot be called that. This is something entirely different. This was a horrific book. It was very graphic. There were a lot of things going on, and I thought it was brilliant, to be honest. I thought it was very, very interesting, and yeah, so I think it absolutely fits in this category, especially because there's a lot of murder that happens in this book, so I recommend it. The last book on my list, I haven't even read it yet, but I decided to put it on this list because it is perfect for Friday the 13th, and in fact, today is Friday the 13th, and that book just hit Amazon today. That book is by a fellow indie author, and it is her debut novel, and it is called The Killing Game. And it is by Sage Mitchell. Not really so much I can say about it because I haven't read it yet, but you can bet your ass that I am reading it. Probably by the time this video comes out, I probably have it in my library. Apparently I'm in a slasher romance, mood. It is spooky season, and I just came out of my reading slump with a bang. So I am just grabbing everything that I can, and that is what I'm doing right now. So, but anyways, I like showing support to other indie authors. That's kind of the biggest reason that I made this channel in the first place. So if you want to pick up The Killing Game, those are all the books that I have for you guys on this Friday the 13th. I hope you give them a try. Is my camera focusing on Ghostface? Is that what I'm seeing? Anyways, those are all the books that I have for you guys today on Friday the 13th. If you have any other suggestions, put those in the comments. Like this video. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I am trying to get to 700 subscribers, and unlike everything else that I feel like I need to do by myself, I cannot do this without you guys. Share this video with friends who you think might like some darker slasher romance for the spooky season. And until next time, happy reading. Bye!